guys, it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for tonight's video, we're going to be reading some more scary stories. So I just got home from Thanksgiving dinner with my family and it's already 9 o'clock at night and I haven't filmed yet. So I'm a little bit tired, but we're gonna film anyway. And this makeup I did like literally 12 hours ago. So if it doesn't look super good anymore, well, it's because it's been on my face for forever. So I'm super excited to jump into these stories. So I have a couple Reddit stories that I want to read to you guys tonight. They are super creepy, and both of them that I got from Reddit involve cats and animals, and they're super creepy, and I'm excited. I don't have anything else to ramble about, so let's just jump on into the stories. So the first story that I want to read is from the True Scary Story section, and it is from the Reddit author Hot Sauce Fire. So this is the same Reddit author that I read yesterday about the Japanese ghost and that super scary story. So it's not an update on that story, but he does have an updated story to go along with his paranormal experiences that he's experienced in Japan. So this is his story. He says, this one's titled, Another Creepy Experience I Had Living in Japan. This incident happened back in 2003. I had a chat with friends over lunch and we were discussing what we had planned on doing Friday evening. Previously, we had visited a supposed haunted place, but it was a bit disappointing despite the fact that my friend's girlfriend was pretty easily scared. My friend B wanted to go somewhere else. The last excursion didn't satisfy his curiosity. Eventually, we decided that a creepy hospital might be worth checking out. A couple of my army friends were military police, aka MPs. One night, while we were having beers with them, one of them told me about this old field hospital in one of the installations. For background, there are a few installations that are managed by the US, which also hosted housing for soldiers and their family. I, being a military brat, had access to all of the installations. The field hospital was no longer active, but saw heavy use during the Vietnam War. He mentioned that some MPs with working dogs complained about weird things happening at the old field hospital when they would do security checks late at night. Their military dogs would act weird, refuse to get out of vehicles, whine, and resist. Naturally, my ghost hunting group thought this would be an excellent location to visit and see if they could document anything on video. That Friday evening, my friend and his girlfriend and I would set out to visit that field hospital. Everyone hopped into my Honda Civic and we departed late into the evening, about 10 p.m. The field hospital was on a base called Segme Depot, and we lived near a base called Naval Air Facility. I can't say this word, I'll put it on the screen here. Bases are in Japan, mind you, which was about 18 kilometers. My little Civic was souped up and quick as a whip through various narrow winding back roads to avoid traffic. I remember the evening being pleasant as we laughed about whatever we were talking about. In an instant, the ambience of that evening would take on an eerie shift. My Civic screamed through the streets as I was doing about 50 miles per hour in a 40 mile per hour zone, when suddenly, a cat with a calico coat began its run across the road. There was absolutely nothing I could do. Oncoming traffic and the shoulder of the road prevented me from being able to swerve in either direction to avoid it. My car was traveling too fast. I ran over the cat. There was absolutely no mistake of it. My Civic was slammed, and we all felt the right side of my car bump as both right side tires ran over the cat. Before I could warn my friend's girlfriend, she turned around in the back seat and looked back at the cat. I see it. It has your tire imprint in its body. You killed the fucking cat. Stop looking at it. Seriously, stop, I retorted. My friend said, Kay, calm down, and tried to reassure her. I exchanged a glance with her boyfriend, and we both were thinking the same thing. We need to pull over somewhere and assess the damage done to my car. I drove about another quarter mile when I saw a convenience store coming up and decided that we would pull in there. I got out of the car and immediately checked my side of the vehicle, as I expected the rim of my front tire of the side of my Civic to have blood or at least cat parts splattered about. But to our surprise, there was not a single drop of blood, not a single strand of fur, no signs of any damage nor any signs that I ran over something. My friend and I looked at each other and we were speechless. Without a doubt, we all knew we ran over the cat. That's when I remembered that Kay looked back at the dead cat. I should explain this much so that you guys will understand. There are many superstitions regarding cats in Japan. Most are good, but cats are also considered yokai in some aspects. Many Japanese will agree that looking back at the corpse of a dead cat is not a good thing to do. Some believe their spirits will latch onto you. I've heard this many times before, but I never took it seriously. This was the first time that I've ever hit anything while driving in my experience. I began to tell Kay that you're not supposed to look back at the cat. Her boyfriend begins to blame her a bit, but I diffuse the situation. She didn't know any better, and it's just a superstition. I'll never forget the expression on her face, but she reassures that she did see a dead cat on the road and that it had a huge imprint where the tire squashed it. She pleaded that we need to go back and check. At this point, I started to doubt that I even ran over anything. I mean, there was no signs of it. But we all felt it and Kay saw it. I gave in and said that we can go double check that there is a cat carcass on the road. We at least can get it off the road because it would be the right thing to do. We double back to where I ran over the cat and slow down, and there was nothing. No sign of roadkill. No blood. Nothing. I throw on my hazards and pull over. Kay and her boyfriend get out of the car and look around. After a few minutes, they get back in. And after a few minutes of discussion, we got nothing. We decide to press on. I'm driving through more backwoods, and I know that T intersection is coming up. I have two choices. Stay on the current road or turn right and take a shortcut. Using sound logic, I want us to get to the destination as quickly as possible, so I turn right. As I take the turn, we start driving uphill on a winding road that led into trees. I step on the gas and we keep cruising. After about 1 kilometer, I see the traffic light at an intersection. As I left off the gas to decelerate before the traffic light, I roll my window down and spark up a cigarette. I notice that something strange is in the corner of the intersection. There, sitting quietly and facing away from us, is a cat with a calico print. I shit you not, exactly like the one I ran over. It wasn't just me. My friend B and his girlfriend both noticed it too. Dude, what the fuck? Just silence in the car. I come to a complete stop at the light, and the cat slowly turns its head to the left and makes eye contact with me. It then lets out the most slow growl and throaty meow at us. The cigarette is still just burning my mouth, and the ashes flake onto my shirt. I'm locked with fear. It meows even louder and begins to hiss. Fucking go already. Go, 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 Kay says. I hit the gas and we get the hell out of Dodge. Shortly after this, B leans towards me and says we should probably just call off the hunt tonight, as I have bad vibes and Kay is wound up. I agreed. We stop at a diner, hoping this late night diner and some coffee would chill us out. Afterwards, I drop the two of them off and go back to my place. When I get home, I change into my pajama pants and chill out in my room on my tati mead mat. I felt unusually tired and didn't feel like getting up to pull my futon out of the wall, but eventually get my lazy ass up and pull it out and get ready for bed. I killed the lights and laid there in my bed. I tried to keep my mind off what happened earlier, but it was no use. I kept seeing it replay in my mind. I eventually turn away from the window and close my eyes, hoping to drift off to sleep. My room is quiet, and in the distant chirping of crickets could be heard through my window was a meow. The sound came from my window. I rolled in that direction and looked up in the dark, and there was a pair of orange, glowing eyes staring back at me. I threw my blanket over my head and rolled away. Breathing heavily, my heart rate skyrocketed as I clenched my hands. This isn't real. This isn't real, I thought to myself. Meanwhile, the horrid moans and meow of the cat continue. I clenched my hands harder, and suddenly, it stopped. The next day, I convinced myself that it must have just been stray cat fighting with another cat. I went about my Saturday as if nothing happened. I thought about visiting a shrine. I told myself I would if it happened again. Later that evening, I went out for beers with my friends, and then I went home. To my surprise, no meows or anything, so I drifted off to sleep. I didn't have any stranger occurrences that weekend. On Monday, though, I returned to work. My friend B and I worked together. During lunch, we told our Japanese coworkers what had happened that weekend. Both coworkers agreed that you shouldn't look back at dead cats. It brings bad juju. We agreed and just blamed it on B's girlfriend. Later that afternoon, B and I decided to take a break. In front of the warehouse, we enjoyed canned coffee with our cigarettes. We're talking cars and various things when out of nowhere, we see a cat, a calico cat, come across the corner, just trotting along as it seems to not notice us. We were both dead silent. Then the cat snaps its head left and pauses mid-stride. Its right paw is suspended in motion. Meow. It begins to hiss at us, then moan more. We stood there silent, just frightened. After a couple minutes, the cat darted off. One of our Japanese coworkers walks up from behind us and tells us that he saw the whole incident. He said it was strange. None of us have ever seen a cat that looked like that around the warehouse before. To this day, I have no explanation. That was the last time I saw the cat, and I never heard anything meowing from my window ever again. So that's how the end of the story. So that's just another update on another weird thing that happened in Japan to them. So that's really creepy that you guys swear to God you hit a cat and it was very traumatizing and it was an accident, and then you go back to check and the cat's not there, and now this cat is following you. That's fucking crazy. Oh my God. So thank you so much for allowing me to read your story. I don't even know what I would do in that situation, because that would really just weird me out. I love animals so much, and I would be so upset if I ran one over by accident, but the fact that this calico cat is now following you everywhere you go is fucking terrifying. Oh my God. So that one's not really a super scary story, but it's just a weird, kind of eerie story. So the next one that I want to read is another one about cats, and it's really, really creepy. So this one is from the No Sleep section, and it is from the Reddit author Mallow Like, and it is titled Shadow Remain. My uncle once told me when he bought his house, the basement was completely overrun by cats. I wasn't interested enough to ask how he solved the problem, but I doubt he found them loving homes. This story is on my mind because I've been house sitting for him for a few weeks. There are no cats in this house, but I don't think he got rid of everything. I've heard an animal running on the floor above me. Small things are being knocked over in rooms that I'm not in. Every once in a while, I feel something furry rub against my leg, but nothing was there. Nothing is ever there. No food has been stolen, nor have I found any signs of an animal being in the house. I've been trying to think of a logical explanation for the occurrences. Being licked by a tiny rough tongue while lying in bed convinced me that there was something unexplainable happening in this house. This made for some sleepless nights, but it's being a minor annoyance at worst. I came to embrace the phantom cats, talking to them, naming them based off of their behavior. Klutzy was the one knocking stuff over, Big Zoom, BZ for short, was the one that ran around on the floor above me, and Buffet was the name of the one that was licking me at night. I'm still freaked out, but the names make the cats seem a little less menacing. There were more cats. Since I couldn't see them, I stopped naming them after 3. I felt nothing but love from the ghost cats. I even bought a small bag of cat food and put some out next to a bowl of water for them, just to see what would happen. Hopefully, curiosity is only deadly to cats. The next morning, I finally see one, sort of. It's a shadow of a cat on the wall next to the food dish. It's just sitting there, licking its paw and cleaning its head. There's nothing in the room that could possibly be casting that shadow. I'm mortified, but it's a cat. How much harm could it do? The cats have become much more active since I put out the food. There are definitely more than 3. I can hear them running together upstairs. Bigger and bigger things are being knocked over, and I'm now being licked instantly by multiple cats at night. Sleep is hard to come by. Eventually, it does come though. I wake up to find the cat food all over the floor. I grab a broom and I start to sweep. My body and mind shut down when I see the words in the mess. Please die. We're hungry. I stare at the message for a lifetime. The message is clear. A feeling of dread washes over me. I am jelly, barely maintaining a standing position. I sweep up the mess quickly and try to convince myself that the message was a weird coincidence. The increase in shadow cat activity was making coincidences feel like a forgotten dream. Knowing that they see me as a meal has definitely put an end to any feelings of love in this house. I throw the bowl of food and water dish into the grass from my back door. My attention has made them stronger. I open the fridge to grab a beer, and the fridge falls towards me, dumping its contents, almost pinning me to the floor. I gasp and roll out of its way just in time. I've seen fridges fall over before, but it's usually because some idiot is hanging on the door. It comes to rest in the middle of the kitchen floor, oozing an abstract painting of fruit juices. My heart is running. All I can think is, I can't just leave this mess. In a daze, I walk down to the basement. The staircase is now a fuzzy minefield. I feel like I'm tripping over hairy little obstacles with every step, but nothing is there. The basement is dead to me. I'm too scared to even attempt the descent. It seems the cats are sick of waiting for my death. They are now actively trying to cause it. I run out the back door. My keys are in my room. I'm not going back in the house. I know for sure I locked the ladder in place with all of the craziness. I checked the locking mechanism 3 times. I make it to my bedroom window with ease. As I'm climbing down, the lock pops open and the top portion of the ladder slides down along the bottom half, almost crushing my fingers as the rungs fly past each other. I hurt my ankle when I hit the ground, but it wasn't bad. This house is. I limp to my car, leaving all of my stuff. I try to call my uncle. I call him multiple times, text him even, leave a message, no response. I don't really want to abandon the house he left in my care, but I don't want to become a meal for the shadow cats. I am now home, hopefully safe. I still haven't heard from my uncle. I've never heard of a house being haunted by animals. If anyone knows what's going on or knows how to make it stop, please help me. And that's how they ended the story. So that's so fucking creepy. Oh my God. So your uncle's house is overrun by shadow cats, and I mean, maybe your uncle got rid of the cats in a not nice way and now the cats are taking revenge. I don't know. But that is really creepy. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your story. That story is so fucking scary, and I don't even know what I would do in that situation. That is terrifying. Oh my God. All right, so I'm going to move over to Instagram. So I do have a few DMs to read from you guys. They say, "Hi Ariana, I recently started watching your YouTube channel and I've been binge watching all of your content. Since living in my first haunted house at 9, I've been obsessed with the paranormal. I figured I would send you some of my experiences as they are pretty creepy and you might find them interesting. So originally when my family revealed that we were moving into one of the big houses at the end of the street, I was super excited. Not just because my mom had promised I could finally have my own room and decorate it, but because it was one of those really old houses, built in the early 1800s and had now fallen into despair. I guess that appealed to my 9-year-old self. I was secretly hoping for secret passageways, but there weren't any. My attitude changes towards the new home before I figured out that anyway. As the moment I walked inside for the first time, I hated it. I didn't say anything in the beginning because the adults in my family were excited. The first weird thing I noticed was that someone was moving my books. I would put a book I was reading down on the sofa and go downstairs for lunch and come back and the book would be gone. I was confused because I was the last person to go down and the first person to come back up. So where did my book go? I would find them in bizarre places. The middle of the staircase, under the dining room table, once even in the fireplace. I was pissed, but there was no one that I could even be angry at, as no one else could have moved it. After about 2 months, the sleepwalking started. I have never sleepwalked a day in my life before moving into this house. But one night, my mom heard a weird noise coming from mine and my sister's room. She came downstairs, and there I stood in the doorway, eyes open, flicking the bedroom light on and off. She asked me what the hell I thought I was doing, and I'd better pack it up before I woke my sister up. Apparently, I stopped flicking the light on, turned my head slowly, looked at her, then went back to my bedroom. My mom followed me, and I had gotten back into bed and appeared to be fast asleep. She thought I was faking it, and the next morning, when I went down for breakfast, she gave me a go. I was totally confused, and I had no idea what she was even talking about. It took another 2 weeks for her to realize I really wasn't lying, and it really was sleepwalking. Everyone thought it was weird, but kind of funny. I didn't, though. I blamed the house, which they thought was crazy. Then my nan came forward after another few weeks and said she kept smelling cigarette smoke in the kitchen. No one in the house smokes, and at this point, my paternal grandfather had recently died of lung cancer due to smoking, and my mom was a severe asthmatic, so smoking was a big no-no. Even weirder though, my nan told whatever was smoking to go outside and smoke, and the smell relocated to the balcony from there on out. There was more weird stuff. Footsteps, cupboards opening and closing on their own, but in the end, it was the mold that forced us to move. And I have never been more relieved than the day my mom told me we were moving again. I stopped sleepwalking, and I've never ever sleepwalked since. Not even under loads of stress. When we were moving out, they tried to get my sister to go with them into the house, and she refused. She wouldn't even pass the gate. She was kicking and screaming and crying and begging them not to make her go back in there. In the end, she was in such a state, my nan came and picked her up and took her to the new house, which had a much better vibe. 3 years ago, my grandfather passed away, and we had to move again, into another haunted house. This one was built in 1871, and for the most part, had been pretty chill. The first month or so, we could hear a little girl sobbing, but she stopped, and I think she's gotten used to us. The male presence on the first and second floor has stopped smoking in the house since we asked him nicely not to, and he uses the lights in the dining room to communicate at dinner time. He likes to be involved. He reminds us that he lives there too. We've called him Henry because it just sounded right, and flicked the lights twice in quick succession when we asked if we could call him that, so it's stuck now. He's the one who woke my aunt up in the middle of the night. She felt like someone had shaken her awake, and when she felt like freezing cold air in the house, she went to investigate, and somehow our front door was wide open, despite everyone checking it was locked before heading to bed. The thing that opened the front door that night began making itself known in the basement, where mine and my sister's room were. There's a huge bolt on the outside of the bedroom door. I have no idea why. It looks like it's been there for years. It's stiff and heavy and makes a lot of noise when you slide it across, no matter how careful you are. The basement stairs are also broken, and there is one that you have to hop over, as it technically isn't there anymore. In doing so, you end up making a ton of noise going up or down them. It was the afternoon. My sister had gone upstairs for a bath. It's right at the top of the house, and I could hear her going all the way up. Our walls and floor do nothing for blocking sound. After 5 minutes, she had gone up to go to the bathroom. My door wouldn't open. I was furious. In this moment, I figured my sister had locked me in with the bolt as a joke. I called upstairs to my mom, who thought it was hilarious, and came and let me out. I heard her skip the step and slide the bolt back when I realized I had heard none of those things. My sister had not come back downstairs, nor had she slid the bolt across. So how did it get locked in the first place? The presence in the basement is still around, but less into pranks. I hear it walking around my room at night, as it knows that it annoys me, but it is mostly chilled out. Maybe it took me seriously when I told it if it tried that shit with my door or the front door again, I would be forcefully evicting it. Or maybe it found my threat amusing and has decided to play nice for now. I don't know. Fingers crossed it keeps behaving. And that's how they ended the story. So I said, oh my God, I would be so mad if something locked me in my room. I would literally be throwing hands. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your story and sending your story into me. That is so fucking creepy. I hate the fact that it locked you in your room. That's really, really awful. That's really menacing. And like, it could just be a prank, but like at the same time, I don't like that. And the fact that you didn't even hear the lock being slid into place, no matter how quiet you've tried to do it, this ghost managed to do it on its own without alerting you, is fucking terrifying. So I hate that so much. I'm gonna end the video here. I need to go edit this and post it right away for you guys because it is already almost 10 o'clock. This is where I'm gonna end the video today, but thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this, and I will see you guys at the next video. Bye.